Yeah, we were sitting next to each other in the seats, looking out at the field.
Yes, we did.
And I've just found out I was wearing the exact same T-shirt. So,
oh yeah, I suspect you haven't changed.
Yeah, that was the worry. That was the worry we were going to have. Yeah.
You're listening to Sappenin Podcast.
Sappenin! You are listening to episode 336 of Sappenin Podcast, featuring myself, Sean Smith, and my good friend Morgan Jorgen Richards.
Yes! It's me, Morgan Richards.
Facts.
And if there was ever anyone that was born for greatness, while being licensed to kick your head in, you were label locked to a wrestling goat. Bah.
Oh, God alive. This week's guest is professional wrestler. And when I say professional wrestler, I mean genuinely one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time. I know the word GOAT gets thrown about a lot, but literally this man is one of the best wrestlers of all time. Technically proficient, fantastic, brilliant entertainer. And we were lucky enough to sit down with him, get to spend 45 minutes of our time with him when we were only given 20. This week's guest is the brilliant Bryan Danielson of AEW.
The return of Bryan Danielson.
That's true.
We shouldn't have ever been allowed to talk to this legend, never mind have him on the podcast twice. What's going on? Who let us be friends with Bryan Danielson?
Bryan Danielson, obviously. Yeah, we were actually only, we were originally given 30 minutes with Bryan, but due to his ongoing press duties, he arrived a little bit late. So the press person said we had 20 minutes. And then I think Bryan enjoyed it so much, he gave us 45 minutes and we had a great, great chat. A lot of insight into the world of wrestling. Very funny chats. Talks on about new music he's found. And we talk about music that we discussed last time as well.
Yes, we do. He's the best technical wrestler to ever live, in my opinion. And Bryan holds a special place in a whole generation of wrestling fans' hearts, waving the flag for the everyman to live their dreams and reach the top of the mountain. He's provided us with endless memories of shocking moments, incredible matches, and roller coaster journeys, headlining WrestleManias as in WWE before winning the AEW World Heavyweight Championship to a jam-packed Wembley Stadium last summer. Back in August, we sat pitchside with him on the run-up to that barn burner with Swerve Strickland, but since the word retirement has begun to creep in ever so slightly more, with Bryan being out injured and not being on TV for the last few months. So we got the chance to speak with Bryan as All Elite Wrestling will be returning to the UK for 2 huge shows this summer, with a live broadcast of AEW Dynamite and Collision from the Hydro in Glasgow, Scotland on Wednesday, August 20th, on the lead up to the mega pay-per-view event that is AEW versus New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door London on Sunday, August 24th from the O2 Arena. Tickets are on sale today at allelitewrestling.com. And throughout this, Bryan is going to really fantasy book the event from his perspective and give us an update on not only his in-ring career and what we can expect next, but his backstage role at AEW and the company right now, travel mentorship, what wrestlers he'd make a band out of, and there's even a wild scheme he's planning that involves Taylor Swift.
I hope that comes off. I'd like to be part of that, to be honest, and say that we'll facilitate that. Lovely, lovely chat with Bryan, as always, because, you know, we don't shut up talking to him. Like, he's phoning us all the time. He's like, boys, I want to come back on. And we're like, Bryan, we're like, no. He was absolutely fantastic. He gave us the time of day. And I'm not going to lie, I have got in touch with someone who puts wrestling on my Ned Butlins. I don't need to say any more than that, but have a listen to this, and then we'll talk about it after the fact.
Do you reckon we could dominate the Butlins seeing as a tag team? Or do you reckon they would just beat us up even more because it's us?
we'd probably get battered knowing us. We're both frail. We're both surprisingly weak, I think. But yes, go to patreon.com/Sappenin to support the boys. That's me and Morgan. Because literally, as Tesco once said and continue to say, every little helps keep this bastard podcast going. They didn't say that last bit, they only said the first bit. But anyway, This is episode 336 of Sappenin Podcast, featuring the brilliant and beautiful Bryan Danielson. Sappenin!
Sappenin!
I don't know what happened to my voice then.
Sappenin!
Yes! I hope the microphone's picked it up because I think it might have cut out a little bit. But this week's guest,
Oh no!
one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time ever, the beautiful, the brilliant Bryan Danielson. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great now that you called me beautiful. I was, yeah. I mean, that's all I've aspired to my whole life is for somebody finally to call me beautiful, because nobody when I did this like mail-in wrestling thing when I was a kid, right? And you would have to pay like $1 for every match, and you'd like pick these moves or whatever it is. It was really weird. It wouldn't make sense to kids now. But one of my characters was beautiful Bryan Danielson.
Oh!
Never once has anybody called me beautiful.
Well, full circle moment. You've had all the wrestling accolades, you've had all the 5-star matches. That doesn't mean anything. The being called beautiful by us.
Beautiful. Yeah. BBD.
I mean, well, if there's ever a comeback, we've got the gimmick sorted now. Yeah. Oh, that'd be fantastic. But yeah, how are you? What's day-to-day life like you at the moment?
Yeah. Life is good. Day-to-day life is that dad life, and I'm an assistant coach for my son's t-ball team, and I'm doing fun things and spending time with my family. So
nice. Yeah. Well, a lot has happened since we last talked to you at Wembley, Bryan, and it's so good to see you again and talk. But if we can, I'd love to kind of reflect a little bit on All In London 2024 at Wembley Stadium, because when we were talking to you, there's all this hype around this match you had against Swerve Strickland for the AEW World title. You winning in front of that jam-packed crowd and everything that went with it. How do you reflect on a night like that and the significance of that moment in your career?
So honestly, it's my favorite moment in my career. And there's so many things that surround what we think of as moments in our lifetime, right? It's not just matches that have been great matches. If they're not surrounded by other things going on, like, oh yeah, that was a great match and it was fun or whatever it was. But the circumstances of that match in particular, of one, the jam-packed stadium, the two, Tony Khan getting Final Countdown for it, and the most important thing, my wife and my kids being there, just made it so special. But I mean, there's also these things too. I had wrestled Swerve maybe a little bit less than a year before that, and his growth as a performer in that year, and even in people, the way he perceived him, being in the ring and seeing somebody in their full power, right? Like Swerve was unbelievable in that match, right? And being in the ring with somebody who are because I was physically limited. The reality is I was physically limited, and him coming into his full power in that match is, when you're in the match with somebody like that, it's something to behold, right? And so like all of those things, and then being able to celebrate with my kids after, and then like all I get back to I'll remember in the ring, I'm bleeding and I look over at my daughter and she's crying. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh no, what have I done to my daughter? Turns out she wasn't crying because I was bleeding. She was crying because Swerve yelled at her. because both of my kids, both my daughter and my son, know in their heart of hearts that, that's just catch up. Right. And then so I'm in the trainer's room after the match and they're cleaning up the blood off my face. And my son licks my face thinking it's and he goes, ew, yuck. And I said, oh, sorry, bud, don't lick it. It's old ketchup. It's old ketchup. It's been under the ring for a long time,
Oh, no.
Yeah. That's the most irony ketchup I've ever tasted, Dad. Why does this ketchup taste like heavy metals?
No, but you mentioned that celebration, and I feel like it was that for you, especially having Brie and the kids just kind of in the ring celebrating. And Birdie kind of stole the show at the press conference afterwards. It was just kind of felt like it was a moment for the family, not just you, and kind of the wrestling heritage that is between everyone.
Yeah. And, when our daughter, when Birdie got to the back, she said, after we had done the press conference, she said, "This is the greatest day of my life."
Oh.
She's finally above the law. She's like, I'm good. Do you know what? I'm a talker. I'm good at this. Oh, no. Has she shown any interest in the grappling? Has she shown it?
None whatsoever. My son, on the other hand, loves the wrestling.
Right. Okay.
Oh.
So, yeah. Because, I watch Dynamite and Collision every week, in our house. And my daughter, she'll peek in here and there, but then she'll go do her own thing. My son just loves it. He loves the Bad Apple. Brian Keith is his favorite. He loves Will Ospreay, right? And it's really fun for me to see through a child's eyes, to see how he thinks about wrestling and what he thinks is cool and like all those different. Because I look at it as somebody who's been wrestling for 25 years, and I think like, okay, whoa, that was awesome, or oh, that didn't quite work how we thought it would, or whatever it is, all these little things. But to see it through his eyes is just it's so fun,
Well, maybe he takes on the beautiful Danielson tag moving forward.
Yeah, and you know what the thing is, he could pull it off way better than I could. At least I think. So he has these amazing dimples. So he has these super cute dimples, but he's a firecracker. He's wild in the best way. Like he got kicked out of a preschool because he bit two teachers and gouged one of them in the eye. But anyways, he was at school and he ran into a fence post. And I don't know how it happened, but he'd got this lump that's still on the inside of his cheek. But the problem is it's made his dimple on the right side that much cuter, right? It's a deeper dimple than the one on the left side. So it's like, oh man, I mean, me and my wife, and like he'll do something bad and then he'll smile, and it's like, oh, how could you even? Yeah, if there's going to be a beautiful male Danielson, it's not going to be me. It's going to be him.
Natural baby face. Well, one of the things we want to talk about as well is kind of your current status within wrestling, within AEW, because we're hoping you can kind of share some insight into this, because obviously there's a lot of rumors about if you are retired for good or for not, and you're carrying some injuries. You're working kind of behind the scenes with AEW a lot more because of this. What is the kind of the status within your in-ring career right now? Are you done, or do you think you've got a few matches left in you?
So I'm never going to put the big R word out there.
Okay.
Just because I was forced to retire before, and that I could see circumstances where I would come back, right? For something here or there. But I'm at a point where I what's the risk reward ratio, right? And especially because the last 6 months of my career were so physically taxing, and that's kind of a blessing, because it made me, when I was after my last match, I was ready to be done. I was ready to like I was ready to not be in that pain anymore. And it's honestly only been in the last 4 to 6 weeks that I've even been able to sleep through the night because my neck's been so bad. Yeah. Actually, Adam Copeland, he has a guy who does this like miracle working type stuff. And I went to see him. And after seeing him, he worked on me for 6 hours, 2 days in a row. And after that was the first time I slept through the night without waking up in pain.
Wow.
At that point, it had been almost a year, right? That I'd been able to, that I'd been sleep through the night. So yeah, it's, but yeah, that said, I think one of the things that's hard in this society is the idea of being satisfied or just saying, okay, that's enough, right? But now I look at my career, and when you look at risk versus reward, yeah, that was enough, right? Like, and I have no inclination right now I have no desire when I watch wrestling. When I was forced to retire before, I would watch wrestling and have this hunger in my eyes, like somebody who hasn't eaten, it has been fasting for 2 days and sees food, right? It's like, I need to get back in the ring, right? And I watch wrestling now, and I'm mostly just thinking about like, okay, what can we do next week? How do we make this better? Whatever it is. And there's no desire to get back in the ring.
Well, yeah, I wanted to ask about, because, he's just asked about life and your in-ring career there. Outside, what can you describe your role at AEW at the moment with what you do and what you help out with? And
yeah, I'm essentially just a consultant. So when Tony wants, when he wants something, he'll call me. I'm also a part of the disciplinary committee. I'm constantly interacting with other people, like on the creative team or wrestlers, reach out to me as far as like, okay, what did you think about this? Just give them feedback or whatever it is. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of my role now, promoting these Forbidden Door and us coming to Glasgow and stuff like that. So, like that's kind of my role. It's multi, I'm struggling for the word.
Faceted.
Yeah. I just have a couple different roles, but none of them are like a full-time role, right? It's like I dabble in this, I dabble in that, and then I do my own thing.
Nice. Well, how insightful is that for you when like a younger star reaches out or asks for advice or wants your opinion on something? Because the wrestling industry, it's so full of many different layers, right? It's like such an art form in itself of what works from a match or even just the perception of stuff, the image of stuff. Do you think it's really important to have someone like yourself who has been in this industry for so long, seeing the ups and downs of so many different companies, to give that advice? And I'm sure it's the same for you when you were starting off, that it would have helped you.
So I think mentorship is an interesting concept. So my mentor was William Regal, who was the perfect mentor for me. Like he and I, he has a personality that matches with my personality, and I think that's what you need when you're doing like a mentorship. For example, if MJF, and MJF has asked me for advice about certain things, right? But I would not be a great mentor for him because he and I are very not I like him as a person. Like I actively like him, right? Which I don't think he'll appreciate me saying, but
I was just about to say, you might be the only person I've ever said that about. But he is much more ambitious than I am in regards to what he wants out of wrestling and his career and that sort of thing. And so a match between like a mentor and somebody who wants to be mentored, they have to have complementary personality types, right? And kind of complementary desires. And that's why William Regal was so good for me, because William Regal is about the craft of wrestling and becoming better at the craft of wrestling. And he wasn't about how do you make the most money. That's never what he was about. And so that's never been my focus. My focus has always been on the artistic form of wrestling.
and how do I become the best wrestler that I can possibly be? And so when I would talk to William Regal, he approached wrestling very similarly to me. Now, there would be times where he would say things that had to do with like backstage stuff. So like when I had in WWE, when I first cashed in Money in the Bank, which was just a random, the whole circumstances behind that, and I became world heavyweight champion. Regal, he pulled me aside and he said, "Hey, now's the time for you to develop a relationship with Vince, in the sense of go into him, like whenever you feel the need to. It doesn't have to be every week, but just go into him, make sure that what you're doing is what he wants you to do, right? And then in doing that, you can create a relationship with him. So then when you have questions about something or something that you can go in and ask him about that, like that sort of advice too. But most of the advice, it's hard for me not to call him Darren, and it's weird too, because calling people by their last names in the UK is kind of a sign of disrespect, right? Like,
yeah, it's a weird like teachery thing where they
it's a teachery thing.
But like even during his time in AEW, he would help me with my matches in the sense of like, hey, just watch out because your covers. Don't get lazy on your covers. Don't be sloppy on this, right? Like, because those are all things that you have, like these very little things that the fans don't even notice, but it's important to keep the job looking like you're really in a fight, right? And so yeah, he would give me that kind of creative feedback as far as my wrestling goes.
Is there anyone on the AEW roster where you watched Collision and Dynamite weekly that you've been really impressed with lately? Maybe someone that is finally getting their spotlight, or just seeing the little things and thinking they've got a long way to go, and there's a force there. So
I mean, there's two people. I mean, there's so many people that I'm constantly impressed by. So I've never really watched too much of Speedball Mike Bailey, and he's debuted in AEW recently. And he at the last pay-per-view, they had a triple threat match. It was Kenny Omega, him, and Ricochet, and I was just blown away. I was like, whoa! But the guys, two guys that I'm constantly impressed by is Kyle Fletcher and Daniel Garcia. And one of the things that I'm impressed with both of them by is they've taken the new style of wrestling, but also incorporated aspects of older wrestling. As far as like when you look at Daniel Garcia as your traditional good guy, he's really focusing on what people learn to be a good guy from a previous era, right? As far as like trying to garner sympathy from the audience. And likewise, Kyle Fletcher is doing the same thing, but from a bad guy perspective, is trying to be putting in these little things throughout matches that really make you like, oh, this guy does incredible stuff, but I don't like him. Right. And there's a fine art to that. You know what I mean? And so I've been really, those are two younger guys who I've been really impressed by.
Yeah. Yeah, Kyle Fletcher used to wrestle for the local promotion we go to, Attack Pro, in Cardiff, in bingo halls, as like the skinny import from Australia who was just doing the backflips. And to see him walk out every week now with how jacked and big he is, and like
he's bigger every week.
That's not the same guy. It can't be.
And so at first I thought it was a bad idea when he shaved his head, right?
Yeah.
He's so handsome. He should. Somebody should call him beautiful. But then now, even with his shaved head, I'm like, you know what? He's still handsome. He's still a very handsome man. And
yeah, I hate that. I hate doing people shave their head. He's still handsome.
So after my last match, I shaved my head. I had to ask my wife. I said, "Bree, is it okay if I shave my head?" And she goes, "No, not really. I don't want you to do that." And I said to her, I said, "Okay, wait a second. At least I'm asking. You went and got 2 tattoos without even asking." And I don't. I don't care at all. And everybody who knows us knows she's the boss, right? So she said, okay, fine, you can shave your head. But if I don't like it, you have to immediately grow it back.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Right.
I thought for a second then she was going to say, if I don't like it, you've immediately got to go out and buy a wig.
But all of that to say, Kyle Fletcher can pull off the shaved head and still be a beautiful man. So
you can.
Fair play to him. Well, obviously you're in London promoting the fact that AEW is coming back to the UK for Forbidden Door with New Japan Pro Wrestling in August. Look, these are two promotions that have got such different styles, but when they come together, it works together. You've been a whole fan of New Japan, and you've obviously wrestled over there in the past. How good is it for the business that companies now are getting together to do co-promoted shows like this, rather than it be you work for this person, you can only work there? Like it's opening up so many doors, pardon the pun.
Yeah, so I think it's super cool as a wrestling fan, right? Because before, and this wasn't always the case, but for most of my career, people were siloed in, like, if you work for New Japan, you work for New Japan, unless you're going to do something in Mexico or something like that. You would rarely see stars from New Japan come over to the United States, and that kind of. They started working with like Ring of Honor and stuff like that, where you would see a little bit more of that. But to see it on such like a huge scale with somebody who has international TV like AEW and then New Japan, it's just super cool. And I think it's good for the fans and it's good for the wrestlers as far as it gives them. It gives them more audiences who know who they are and all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I just think it's a win-win for everybody. It's super cool for us as a company because we get these special attraction matches, right? So it's like, okay, we don't get to see these people very often, but now we get to see them at this show, right? And I think it's really cool that we're doing it at the O2. And I think it's really cool that we're doing it in the UK, where the fans are just, honestly, some of the best wrestling fans in the world. So yeah, I think the concept of it, I'm very grateful that AEW and New Japan were able to have this working relationship to make this happen. And last year too, we had some of the guys from CMLL too. And I think it's going to be an interesting thing where if we can get wrestlers from all over the world, because CMLL is doing great business right now. Well, it's like getting like the hottest stars from these different promotions to go against each other. It's just cool, right? If you love wrestling, it's cool.
From a music fan perspective, these events seem more like a festival, right? Where all your favorite bands are getting together. You don't get to see them combined like this.
Yeah. And it exposes. So, for example, I went to a Frank Turner concert in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I was exposed to his opening act was a guy named Will Varley, who he's kind of an acoustic style, but lyrically very still kind of punk-ish, right? And it exposed me to him, and I'm like, oh, I love Will Varley, right? And that's what kind of these types of shows do, right? Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh, Runu Takahashi, right? Like, who is this guy? He's great. Desperado, he's great, right? He's great. I think, more and more fans are able to watch wrestling from all over the globe just because of technology and all that kind of stuff. But there's, if you look at in the United States, we have 7 hours of WWE wrestling on kind of. You have 4 hours of AEW wrestling on TV. How much are they going to seek out these other companies? How much need is there for that? And so, but if you're going to be watching AEW and then, oh man, they've got a show with New Japan. Holy cow! Who's Desperado? Look at this guy. He's incredible, right? If you haven't seen Zack Sabre Jr. and this is your first time, and he gets to wrestle somebody on his level, you're just like, your jaw just drops, and you're like, where has this guy been all my life? You know, so I think it's great for fans. It's great for wrestlers. It's awesome.
Is there a match you would like to see that maybe you're saying to Tony in his ear, maybe we should try and book this?
So I don't know. I mean, the match I want to see in the atmosphere of the O2 is Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay. And the reason why I want to see it is because I've seen them wrestle before, and it's fantastic and it's different every time. And they're two of the best wrestlers in the world at their own particular style, and they mesh really well. And then they're both from England, and I want to see, with the best crowd in the world, I want to see what it's like with two hometown guys who are each the best at their particular style, wrestling in front of a packed O2 arena. That's what I want to see. But
me too. No,
there's no indication that that's happening.
You've hyped me up. I've got like mini goosebumps now. Like, yes, I want the promo package. Come on, let's get it going. Last time we spoke to you, you told us more of your love for Frank Turner, and you said there about going to one of his gigs. Is there been any other artists on your playlist or anything that you've been obsessed with lately, or any other gigs you've gone to? What's Bryan Danielson's music choice lately?
No. So what happens to me right now is I'm in full dad mode. So it's in the car, I'm listening to whatever the kids want to listen to, right? And but one of my favorite things, this is one of the things that I love, is every year at the end of the year, all the year-end lists come out about the best songs, right? And I love those because, you know, there's always somebody that you've never heard of, or even somebody you may have heard of before but never really listened to their music or anything like that. There's this song called the Shower Song. It's like, and the lyric, and I don't know the name of the person who sings it, but it's like, but here are the lyrics: I sound great when I'm singing in the shower. Like, yes, that is me. I sound great when I'm singing in the shower.
Nice.
Yeah. And there's but there's this band called Tiny Habits, which have this, you know, a really impactful song called Wish, and it really resonates with me. You know, with, I mean, it's just a song that you'd have to listen to, but it's like, but it's, you know, it's those sorts of things, but I only get to listen to those when I'm kind of on my own or whatever it is, because you never know what curse words or whatever it is. But mostly when I'm in the car with the kids, it's like, okay, what do you guys want to listen to? Okay, are we listening to Taylor Swift again?
That's understandable. Yeah.
How do the kids feel that you headlined the same venue as Taylor Swift in London?
So when I told my daughter that Taylor Swift was there right before us, she had a freak out, right? Like she was like, Taylor Swift was there? And like, yeah. And so I was tempted to take my daughter to Vancouver, BC to see a Taylor Swift concert, but the tickets were so ridiculously expensive for not even good seats. But I was like, I don't know when the next time Taylor Swift is going to tour again. My daughter's at this really fun stage where she would really love to go see it, you know, that sort of thing. So, but at the end of the day, the tickets were too expensive.
Surely Tony by now is in with every venue in America.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Well, I reached out to some people at AEW, but that's the power of Taylor Swift.
Wow.
Right?
Shuts it down. Yeah.
Well, there's a running rumor, and Jeff Jarrett probably hates this by now, that Taylor Swift used to babysit his kids. So, like, what she owes him
Jeff
one.
Jarrett can make a call.
Yeah. So yeah, that is true. And this is so. Here's the thing. Okay, people have asked me. Okay, how? Actually, I just got in the interview before this. I just got asked, and I forgot about this entirely. He said, what do you think needs to happen for AEW to get to the next level, right? And, my answer was very pragmatic, is that, it takes time because we have to build infrastructure and all that kind of stuff. It took WWE how many years to get to the position that they're at now. But do you know what would give us overnight increase in audience? If Daniel Garcia started dating Taylor Swift. If Daniel Garcia started dating Taylor Swift, all the Swifties would show up to AEW. And so she's dating an American football player, and he plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. And now the Kansas City Chiefs are have the biggest following in America, and then there's also the backlash to the people who hate the Kansas City Chiefs because all the Swifties support the Kansas City Chiefs. So now you're getting people to go to these games because they hate the Kansas City Chiefs. Now imagine that with somebody like Daniel Garcia. Kyle Fletcher's taken right now. Okay. But I might try to split them up and then try to get him with Taylor Swift. I don't know.
Imagine the upset parents with Daniel's little dance when he's doing that. When they're just doing that. They're like, I don't like how he gyrates at this wrestling. Yeah. But what a good idea. That's a good plan, Dan. That's it now.
It's a good plan. We just have to get. So, and I think one of my plans for this, I have a lot of outrageous schemes. I like a good scheme.
You scheming, yeah.
One of my plans was to start tweeting at, and I forget, I think his name is Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce.
Yeah. But start tweeting at Travis Kelce and just say hey, just so you know, I saw your girl kissing Daniel Garcia.
And there's nothing you can do about it. Yeah.
If you all get all the roster to do that, or if Tony Khan could book Travis Kelce versus Daniel Garcia for the custody of Taylor Swift.
Well, so imagine if we got Travis Kelce believing that this happened, and then we booked him for a shoot fight with Daniel Garcia.
Yeah. Taylor on a pole match. We can do a Taylor on a pole match or a Taylor in a cage match. Yeah.
So that's that would be the fastest way to grow our audience, right?
Yeah.
Is to just have one of our wrestlers be Taylor Swift's boyfriend. So,
but the pay-per-view is definitely Swiftageddon, and then we just move from there, then, don't we? So tell Tony I need 2%. That's all I need for that.
Right.
But yeah, what an idea. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I don't doubt Travis Kelce would be up for something not fighting for his girlfriend, but I mean, getting involved in wrestling. I reckon both Kelce brothers would be up for it. What a tag team.
Yeah, what a tag team. Right?
Yeah.
And Tony Khan already has ins with the NFL,
of course.
For the Jacksonville Jaguars. So it's it's perfect.
Just needs to happen. Just needs to happen now. I know we haven't got too much time left with you, but because we're talking about wrestling and musicians, very off-script question. I asked this to Ruby Soho when she was on the podcast a couple of years ago. Just going to throw out to you. Out of everyone on the AEW roster, if you had to start a band, I'll let you manage them. You don't have to be in the band. Who would you pick? Who would you put together to start a band?
Okay, so Wheeler Yuta, because I forget what he plays, like a really weird instrument. I forget what it is, but it's like I completely forget. I'm sure if you go onto his social media, from 3 years ago, you'll see him doing whatever weird instrument he plays. But it's that's what I want. I want something. I want something a little bit weird. I want Kyle Fletcher, just so we have somebody who's sexy. I could just see Kyle Fletcher ripping on the guitar, right?
Yeah.
And women just loving that, right? And then let me see. You know what? That's how many other people do I need to say?
You can have one more.
You can do a three-piece.
Yeah. Three-piece.
Yeah. What's that?
You can do a three-piece.
Who would be a great person? Brody King.
He's already doing it. He's already having a bash.
Yeah.
Don't take the kids to see God's Hate. Don't take the kids to see his band. because there's definitely swearing and cussing. 100%.
I tell him he has to clean it up, and we have to be all acoustic. It's just. Yeah, okay. We would sing acoustic children's songs.
Yeah, I can see Brody coming on and saying, "What the fuck is that? Oh, I mean, no, sorry, I've changed my voice for this." But yeah,
Bryan, it's always a treat talking to you. Just before you go,
absolute pleasure.
Obviously, as we mentioned, AEW coming back to the UK this summer, and it seems like there's going to be a constant presence at least once a year with the company over here. But I just wanted to get your kind of take on, obviously, your time in AEW, you've had some outstanding matches. Is there any in particular, apart from All In 2024, that stick out to you in a kind of full circle way, or anything that you just feel like, I'm so glad I got to have that match at that part of my career?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really grateful for my whole AEW run, because I got to go back to the style of wrestling that I love to do, right? But I'm as far as like grateful that I got certain experiences. I'm grateful that I got to wrestle Will Ospreay, right? Like with me still having a little something left in the tank, and him being just the incredible wrestler that he is, right? I'm grateful that I got to wrestle Zack Sabre Jr. in Japan this last year. I'm grateful that I got to wrestle Okada in the Tokyo Dome, right? I'm grateful that I got to do a series, or I got to do a match with Claudio one more time in AEW, right? And so those sorts of things. I got to wrestle Yuji Nagata on an AEW Collision. And Yuji Nagata is somebody who, when I first went over to Japan in 2002, he was somebody who I looked up to as being like, this guy's the man. When I got in the ring with him, he was the best guy I'd ever been in the ring with, right? And so I got to wrestle him this year. I got to wrestle Blue Panther. I got to wrestle in Arena Mexico, right? I'd never got to wrestle in Arena Mexico before, and then I got to main event Arena Mexico 2 weeks in a row. Wow. I'm just like a kid in a candy store, right? It's just like, oh yeah. And so it's like, so there's all of these things. Getting to do a couple matches that were an hour long, right? I thought I'd be able to do that again, but I got to wrestle Hangman for an hour. I got to wrestle MJF for an hour, right? Those are things that like I was really, really satisfied with. And how could I forget? I got to wrestle Nigel McGuinness again. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
After so many years of us being apart. So it's like, there's just been so many cool moments. So
yeah, it's really nice. It's been really nice to see, and it's just really nice to hear all these stories. Last question. While you're over, are you going to get on the train and go to Bognor Regis for a quick visit for old time's sake?
I might. So if I get done in time, I might just head over to Bognor Regis. If I had more time. And my wife actually tried to convince me. She said, well, you shouldn't go over for just a day. That's silly. And my response was, but yeah, the longer I stay here, the more likely I'm going to get on the British time zone. And then it's going to be harder when I come back. It's just better to have American time the whole time. But if I had followed my wife's advice, I would not go to Bognor Regis. I would go to Minehead. Minehead was my favorite Butlins. It was just the perfect space for me to be in my 20s and fooling around with whatever I wanted the American Dragon to be, and singing the national anthem, and getting kids outraged that I loved America so much. Like, if there was somebody, I don't know if there's anybody writing wrestling at Butlins right now, but I'd try to get on the show. I'd try to get on the show.
Do you know what?
Bryan Danielson doesn't wrestle for anybody but Butlins.
I mean, we can try and make that happen if you want.
You're gonna regret that.
Does anybody have any strings they can pull to get me on a Butlins show?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I know somebody who wrestled one 2 weeks ago. So yes, I do. This is happening. I'm putting the posters up this week.
But you know what? If Bryan Dixon were still alive, and if he were still running the Butland shows, if he had heard this interview, he would have a fake Bryan Danielson come out. When I was there, he had bought this Kane outfit for a guy named Mike Hughes, and Mike Hughes would come out in this Kane outfit. But he bought the outfit, and it was, to Brian, it was expensive. It couldn't have been more than 100 pounds, this outfit. Yeah. But he bought this outfit for Mike Hughes, and he came out to Kane. But then WWE unmasked Kane like 2 weeks later. Oh. And then he was like, oh, no, I can't have this Kane.
Yeah. No, you're going to have to, Mike, you're going to have to shave half of your head. Yeah. You're going to have to put coal dust around your eyes for some reason. Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant, though. Do you know what? Minehead Butlins literally has a special place in my heart as well. It's literally where I met one of my favourite bands. I befriended them, and then I got to tour the world because of them. So, Minehead Butlins, it's the magic of Minehead.
Oh, the Minehead is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. If you need magic in your life, go to Minehead.
Well, that is the new slogan.
I'm not here to promote Forbidden Door. I'm not here to promote Glasgow. I'm here to promote the Butlins in Minehead.
Oh, that's brilliant. I never expected that to end. Yeah. An advert for Minehead Butlins. Yes, by the greatest wrestler who's ever lived. Fan bloody tastic. Oh, we've done so well today, Morg. It's rare for us, but this is a good one.
Oh, Brian, honestly, thank you so much for taking time. Honestly, it was a pleasure last year again to sit with you at empty Wembley Stadium and talk. And it's even such a pleasure getting time with you now. Thank you so much for this, and just for all the matches and all the memories over the years. Me and Sean super appreciate you.
All right. Thank you guys very much. Yeah, it was a blast.
Yes, that was the fantastic Bryan Danielson, formerly known as Daniel Bryan, the greatest professional wrestler of all time. He's not formerly known as, he's currently known as the greatest professional wrestler of all time as well. I just meant Daniel Bryan front out. Anyway, that was good, wasn't it? That was really good.
It's class. It blows my mind that we've been able to get him on this podcast twice. Like, literally, it's such a stupid fucking sentence. And the fact that we started the call and he was like, oh, yeah, I remember you guys. We were all hanging out pitch side of Wembley. Like, that was one of the best moments for me that's ever happened on this podcast, because it was just ridiculous that we got to sit at Wembley Stadium talking to a wrestling certified Hall of Famer. But the fact that he now remembers us, we're imprinted on his brain.
Uh-oh.
And we just get to chat with him whenever we want, it seems like now. That's class. That is absolutely class. AEW coming back to the UK every year. Let's make Bryan Danielson a regular guest on this.
Yeah, until he hates it, until he refuses, until he actually retires from all of wrestling, because he's like, I can't talk to them pricks again, boys. It's doing my head in. But yeah, what an absolutely wonderful chat. Apologies to Brian for me wearing the same t-shirt I wore when we went to Wembley. I own more than one t-shirt. Please check out, Brian, if you're listening, check out our other pictures. I got loads of t-shirts.
If you go to @Sappenin Pod on Instagram, there is photos of me and Sean, and there's loads of different t-shirts he is wearing. I can confirm he's wearing a different t-shirt right now. I can set that. True. Or hang on. Or do we tell him that you only do own one t-shirt, and then they have to go and sign up to patreon.com/Sappenin to help you afford more t-shirts?
Yeah, let's go with that. Disregard everything I've just said. I've only got one t-shirt. Go to patreon.com/Sappenin to help the boys out, because I'd love a new t-shirt. And not one of the ones we put on sale lately, which I will be having as well. So I'd like 2 new t-shirts. So one I got for free off my own podcast. If you'd like to support my endeavour in covering up these tits, get in touch. patreon.com/Sappenin.
It's the opposite of the Free the Nip movement, basically.
Cover those nips. Yeah. Yeah, full length t-shirt as well. I'm not doing crop tops. I can't do that.
No, not like front men seem to only be able to wear nowadays.
Boys' midriffs are disgusting.
What's that about?
Put them away. I don't need to see your pubic hair going up your belly button. Put it away. I don't need it, boys. I don't need to see where you had a longer t-shirt on earlier and now you've got fluff in your belly button because you got your show top on. Put it away. Put it away. Please, everyone. These are the opinions of Sean Smith. They obviously don't matter at all to anyone, but I'm just saying, I don't like this here, so there's got to be other people as well.
You can try and grab one of our new t-shirt designs. We've got ping badges available as well at Sappenin Pod on Instagram for all the links. So you can go to patreon.com/Sappenin where there's a 10% off discount code just for our members, and you'll get exclusive news on everything coming up in the future in the world of Sappenin Podcast. Just a reminder, All Elite Wrestling will be returning to the UK for those 2 huge shows this summer. Tickets are on sale today, so for your chance to watch some incredible entertainment, grab them while you can, because they're going to sell out like hotcakes. If you head to the description of this episode and every single other one, there's loads of names there from our Patreon that we do thank. And right now, Sean is going to give them a massive shout out to the elite members of our community. They help this thing going each and every week. And if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't exist. So you owe him one. So sign up and join the cult. Thank you very much.
He's right, Ted. Anyway, thank you very much. Kylie Wheeler, Janelle Castan, Paul Hirschfield, Tony Michael, Dilly Grimwood, Scarlett Charlton, Mitch Perry, Nathan Croshaw, Johanna, Jonathan Gutierrez, Molly Malloy, James Powerbank, Amy Louise, Kat Besson, Amy Hogg, Ian Gent, Chris Howard, Jenny Robertson, Amy Dawson, Scott Jones, Mayumi, Stuart McNaught, Ellen Southfield, John and Emma, Jennifer Dean, Caroline Robson, Jenny Munster, Gay Knapp, I don't know if it's Louis Cook, thank you very much, Carl Pendlebury, James McNaught, Jason Reddia, Martina McManus, Danny Eaton, Span, Craig Harris, Thomas O'Neill, Ollie Amesbury, Dan Peregrine, Emily Perry, Adam King of Goss Parslow, Kalila Keane, Lavender Lee Martin, Josh. I once had a conversation with a dolphin. We just clicked crisp. It's one of his better ones. Thank you very much, Laura Russell, Fraser Cummins, Sophia Zuravska, Kyle King of the Goss Smith, he's not plural, and Connor Lewins and family. Also, again, I want to give a shout out to our Patreon member, Craig Harris, who found a cannonball the other day while metal detecting from 16 something, right? Like 1654, some madness like that. And I replied to him going, that's older than America. And then he looked into it and he couldn't get over that he found a cannonball that's older than the United States of America.
So many questions to do with that.
Yeah, well, the only way to find out is joining patreon.com/Sappenin.
Hey, come on, you never know what you're going to find in our Patreon. Please do it, man. We fucking need it.
I got one t-shirt. Yeah, what?
Another great chat, another great episode. It's these moments that just get me starstruck every single time. So thank you for everyone for listening and making this thing ever exist. Head to wherever you're listening to this, give us a rate, give us a follow, and we'll be back next week and every Friday with more special guests. Maybe an announcement. Who knows?
Who knows?
But there's stuff going on behind the scenes. That's all we can say.
We are trying. Yeah, this isn't one of those local bands. Big announcement coming soon. We've got potentially a big announcement. If we can fucking get the deal over the line, it would be one that would be fantastic for us, fantastic for the brand, all round, top notch. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I've said too much.
Sappenin!
Gotta stop having coffee before we do these. I talk too much.
You're listening to Sappenin Podcast with Sean Smith and Morgan Richards. Thank you very much for downloading this podcast or streaming it, or I don't know what else you do with podcasts. Thank you very much.